we go. Happy Wednesday. It's Brian Terrian from the Disability Digest with Philip and Dave in here for our YouTube live event.
Hello, everybody.
Yes, Philip, great to have you back. David, as always, appreciate you being here for the show. So welcome, everybody. Today's event is a follow-up from last week. We talked about the essential things that you need before you apply for your Social Security disability benefits. And so we covered like what information you need, what you need to prove. And then we talked about like your strategy for going about getting your disability benefits. So today I'm going to start with just one more piece of clarity on the strategy as a follow-up to some of the comments from last week. And then we're going to get into the resources that we provide you here at the Disability Digest to ideally help you win on the first try. So if you're looking at the screen, you've got the, you're holding up the, what do I want to say? Like the cup, like you've won the cup, right? So anyway, that's what we have in tap for today. So listen, if you are new here, welcome to our YouTube live event, or welcome back if you're not. Our focus here at the Disability Digest with these events is to be a resource for you of reliable information to help you do three things. Help you get your disability benefits approved, which is today's topic. And then once you're approved, help you keep them, help you maximize them. So we're here most Wednesdays at 3:15 Eastern, 2:15 Central, 12:15 out on the West Coast. So we hope you find this helpful. If you know of somebody that might benefit from this information, you can just hit the share button while we're going live and it can go on to them. And the replay for this will be available like a few minutes after the show is done. Right? Okay. So today we're going to go through the points that I mentioned, and then we're going to have time for some Q&A, which you can like submit your question on Facebook. Philip's going to monitor that. Davin's monitoring the YouTube communication. So if you information about your case, your application, those are ideally related to this event, but we'll take anything and we'll address as many as we can. I will turn the phone lines on so you can call in. Maybe you have a question about some aspect of applying or case review, or should I apply, or something didn't go right, or, whatever it is. Okay. Great. Let's do it. Okay. On my screen, I am going to share with you a few points first, actually one. And as I mentioned last week, I talked about your strategy to apply, and there's some changes in the disability process that are going to impact how much you pay for disability representation if you choose to use it or need to use it. But I want to definitely clarify this. The current um, disability representation fee is 25% of back benefits at the time of somebody's award, a claimant's award. And that's capped at $7,200. It was just $6,000 like about 2 years ago, but it's going up again in November 30th. So any award after November 30th is not 7,200. It's going to be 9,200. And these fees are not set by disability representatives, attorney or a non-attorney representative like we are here. They're set by the commissioner. So they're really non-negotiable. If somebody says they'll do it for less, maybe they will, but I don't know of anybody that does. So here's my point as we segue into the resources to help you get approved. People at the initial application, we present you with two options. We show you, which I'm going to today, how you can do this all on your own. And thousands have done this and gotten approved on their own and saved the fees since we started. In 2006, we had resources even then that weren't as robust as our disability approval course now, but they still worked. Or you can use a representative. But the challenge is you really either way, from my point, you need to make sure it's done right. Either you do it right or you make sure that somebody that is working on it for you does it right. So when you look at this fee cap, most people are like, oh my God, $9,200 is a lot of money. And it is. I totally agree with you. But if you do it right at the initial application, you don't have to pay 9,200, right? I'm going to go through an example here. And actually, for those of you out there on my screen right now, this would be really helpful if you put a number in associated to where you're at in the approval process. 1, have not applied. 2, applied, waiting for a decision. 3, you got denied and you're at the reconsideration stage. Or you're waiting for a hearing, or you're approved. Okay, that would be really helpful. So here's the point I want to make. For those of you that are interested in saving money, is really how much money are you going to save? And the thought points that I encourage you to consider, sitting around with a cup of coffee or a glass of wine or a beer or whatever it is you do to ponder and think about these big decisions. This is a typical disability applicant here at the Disability Digest. Now, this is like year 18 that I've been doing this. There's currently 192,000 members here, and there's been some that have come and gone. So point is, I've seen lots of different numbers and situations. Commonly, people apply for their disability benefits, and this is just average, around the 6-month mark of being out of work. Like, oh my God, I can't go back to work. I got to do something about this. So 6 months. So then they apply. So then from that point, you're going to get a decision in today's environment about 8 months later, right? So 6 months out of work applies 7 months. So you're somewhere around 15 months that from the time that you're out of work that you get your first decision. Now, I hope you please pay attention to this because this is going to impact your financial decision, I hope. So with Social Security, if you're out of work for 15 months, the first 5 months is an elimination period, which means that there's no back benefits that build up. So only 10 out of those 15 months have back benefits. So that would be $15,000. I have 1,500 in here. I'm missing a zero. So for $15,000 times 25%, which is the Social Security fee structure, then at the initial application, you could expect to pay on average $3,750. Okay, here's my point. You can do this on your own, hedge your bet that you're going to beat the odds, which are 36% on the national average. If you use the course, it depends on how well you use it, it's going to increase it, then it would be better. Or you can have it done for you. Now, if you're considering having it done for you, I would ask them what their initial application approval rate is. Like ours is significantly more than 36%, but I don't reveal it in our videos or publicly. You're welcome to ask our advocates here. We keep that data readily available. But on average, you could expect to have a 28 to 35% increase of your odds if you have somebody that does this work and does what I'm going to share with you in our disability approval course. If they do those steps, I know from our data that it's going to be increased. So either you do it and you get approved, and hopefully you save your $3,750, or you have somebody do it. But you're not on the hook at the initial application for $9,200. Now here's where the problem is. The problem is if you don't do it right. You know, there's people, we had somebody the other day, they didn't have their phones set up, didn't have voicemail. Social Security couldn't get in touch with them. They got denied. It's just countless stories. People not checking their mail, people not filling out forms right, people not getting doctor support, people not getting the information from the work about the special accommodations they had. All of the things that you really need to do this right, they just didn't pay attention to it. So if that happens, then your case gets denied and you can appeal it at the reconsideration stage, which is in all except 10 states. And the odds of getting approved there are very low. It's 11.7%. It's likely that your case is going to go to a hearing. So you have to go through another 8 months of reconsideration appeal and then wait for a hearing. So you can figure it's going to be like 28 months from start to finish if you don't get it right at the initial application. That is where you're going to pay the full fee of $9,200. Because on my example right here, at 28 months, you would be at $42,000 of back benefits times 25% is $10,500. So it's capped at 9,200. So I hope this information financially, if you're in this for the money and want to save money, that you'll pay attention and do it right, or have somebody do it for you. That's really what it comes down to. And if you can't do it right, maybe there's people that can advocate for you, right? So that's my point on this. So here at the Disability Digest, how it works for those of you that are not familiar with us is you can join us as a member. It's the best way for you to get the most amount of help because you can watch these videos, attend these events and all that. But with your membership, there's no charge. And when you join us as a member and you fill out your profile, that profile helps us understand like where you're at in the process. And we can then guide you to information that's going to help you out. So there'll be a link around this video at the end. David, if you'd put one in chat for people, that would be great. To the Disability Digest, you're going to click the green button. And I'm going to bring you in. This is explaining how you get into our course and information to help you. So you fill out, no, I haven't applied, or whatever's relevant for you, your work history, been out of work for 6 or more months, your age category. And that information right there helps us understand where you're at in the process, or maybe you're approved, which is a whole different set of information we've covered in other videos. So again, no charge for the membership, and then we can get you into our disability approval course, which there is no charge for. Now you're probably wondering, well, why is there no charge? So our YouTube channel that many of you are participating on right now, I see there's 93, 97 views out there. We're in the partnership program with YouTube, and there's advertising that's on the videos. We provide services through like health insurance related services that doesn't cost anything to the member. It's a value add, and that funds our effort. And there are people that choose not to use the disability approval course, or they use it and don't do it right, and they need help getting approved. And if it's a fit, then we'll partner with them as their representative or help them find somebody that can get it done for them. So that's how we do this. I mean, this is a for-profit. I want to be clear with you, but your membership and the resources and everything that we provide you, there's no charge for that. And that's how it works. Okay, so you're a member, your profile is looked at, and you can follow the directions to get access to the disability approval course. This is the information that helps individuals get approved at the very first application. Now, the course is audio and mostly video now, information put together with a combination of industry experts, which is like John Ginsberg, that's on the right here, attorney Carl Osterhow, Barbara Mountain, industry expert James Mitchell Brown. We have a new contributor, Michael Sexton, and a lot of information from our members and success stories and nuggets of information that they've learned that you can leverage. So this is the course. Now, the course is not a one size fits all, because your needs as you start the process and how to file your application is going to be different than if you've applied and you're waiting, or if you've applied and been denied and you're at reconsideration. So these are the 5 different categories of the disability approval process. So when your when your membership is created, that information helps us guide you into the right information. Now, in addition to having the course, which I'm going to go through in a minute, you have digital support from our advocate team. And then you've got these events right here. And in some cases, you can speak with an advocate on the phone, and they will go through and evaluate your case, give you some feedback, help you understand what are the key components that you will need, right? So I'm going to share a story with you. I'm going to change this member's name to keep his, identity anonymous. But he spoke to an advocate here like 7 months ago, and ended up in my workflow and speaking with members. And he's like, "Oh, you're the guy." I go, "Well, what do you mean I'm the guy?" He says, "It didn't work." I go, "What do you mean, Jim, it didn't work?" He says, "I got denied." I said, "Well, tell me more. What happened, Jim?" He's like, "Well, you gave me this course and I applied and I got denied." I said, "Oh, gosh, I'm sorry to hear that." I said, "Well, Jim, can I ask you a few questions here? I just want to see if I can pinpoint where things went wrong." And I said, "You spoke with one of our advocates, and it looks like you were given advice to go to pain management because you were referred but didn't go, and that would strengthen your case. So how many times did you go to pain management?" So I didn't go to pain management. I don't like pain management. I said, "All right." I said, "Well, what about the medications that you were not taking because, you didn't like the heavy narcotics to numb your pain? Did you explain to your doctor why you didn't want to take those? So it's in your medical records. So Social Security doesn't, you know, say, well, he'd be better if he was taking his meds." I said, "No." I said, "Jim," so I said, "All right." So I said, "If you send me the doctor support forms that we indicated that you would need to get filled out and in your application, I'll review them and see, you know, like no charge. I'll just review them for you and see like what might have gone wrong, why Social Security didn't look at those and evaluate you." And he goes, "Oh, so I didn't do those." I said, "Jim," I said, "what did you do?" Right? So here's my point, folks. Having access to this information, this is the same information that I'm going to share with you that our representation team here uses, plus we have some, customized information that we've just learned over 18 years. It's the same information. It's really the fundamentals of it. If you apply it, it will work. But there's situations like Jim where they just totally, he didn't even half-ass it. I don't even know if there's such thing as like quarter-ass it, but he did nothing. And so in those situations, it's just basically a guess. It's like throwing blindly with a dart. Okay. So those are some of the things that you get when you communicate with the team here, and like they're looking at your situation, because every, disability application is like a snowflake. There's just so many nuances and things are different. Um, so here is the first part of the course, like what you're going to need to have to go through and apply for your benefits. And I'm just going to hit the highlights because you either have access to it or you can have access to this shortly. And again, for no charge. But there's getting started steps in the course. And the first one is similar to what we have done in events here, is how to explain you qualify for disability in 2 sentences or less. And so while I'm doing this, I would be glad to review statements for those of you that are going through the disability application process, or especially for those of you that are approved. If you put in the comments um, a 2 sentence or less explanation why you qualify for disability benefits, I'll evaluate some of those. I'll leave your name out if you want. Just say, anonymous, please, because mostly they're not right. But this tells you how to communicate that you qualify. If you're going to do this on your own, you need to be able to pick up the phone and address a question and be caught by Social Security when they ask you, well, do you think you can go back to work? Why can't you work? Right? So that's one. Um, what you need to prove, we talked about that last week. That's more in depth. Um, and information you need to apply. And then down here is a full-blown disability application guide. This shows you inside the Social Security disability application how you take the information that is required to apply and how you communicate it in a language like, the 2 sentence or less statement to Social Security in here. So everything you need for submitting your initial application is right here in these 4 steps. So then the next thing is, once you apply for disability, a critical step is how to fill out the paperwork that Social Security is going to send you. And this paperwork is 2 forms. Sometimes it's 3 for individuals. And this is information about your daily living, what you can do on a daily basis. This is form 3373. And then there's your work history form, which is form 3369. So this course is a contribution from attorney Carl Osterhow, who graciously spent time with us just like he's sitting next to you. And he goes through each one of the questions on the form and he advises you how to answer those, what to say and what not to say. And these have a significant influence on your approval chances. Because if you don't answer the questions right, it can lead Social Security to believe otherwise, right? So that's an example of one of the forms. I'm not going to go through the detail because it's all in the course. So that's the next 1B. All right, so other key steps that you'll need, and this is what Jim didn't do. One of the things is doctor support. Now, having medical records is one thing, but having your doctor provide an individual statement that you cannot work, which is called a residual functional capacity report, is really important. So this is another contribution from Attorney Osterhow. You can request the forms there. And the forms that you bring to your doctors, I mean, we can send them, but it's not as effective if we're working with you. but it's you have the relationship with your doctor. So it's your job to bring them in, say, listen, I'm applying for disability. I just can't work. You know that you're treating me. I've been here, once a month for the last 2 years, and I just can't work, and I need your help. That's the general setup. And the forms will confirm that you're being treated, what their opinion is, and your limitations. And most valuable is their opinion on how many days a month you would miss work. So if they say, listen, you've got these limitations, been treating you consistently for 2 years, and you're going to miss 3 or more days a month, you're basically, I mean, that's really good leverage for your disability application because it's tough to have 3 days off a month. That's, over 30 a year, and still keep a job. Um, 2B is, or not 2B, no pun intended, is evidence from third parties like your family or your work. You can get really good evidence from your work, especially if you had accommodations while you were still working, like they allowed you to come in late, leave early, take naps in your car. They offloaded some tasks for you to other individuals. These are all things that demonstrated that you were working, yes, and you were earning your income, but it was it was being accommodated for, and that's really helpful. You're also going to be sent for exam. Well, not everybody is sent to a medical exam, and you might be for physical, and it might be sent for mental limitations, and the same for forms that you will be sent to fill out. You might be sent adult living forms in different formats or a pain questionnaire, but it's all covered in there. So, and there's really 7 things that you need to know about going to your Social Security exam, so that you get the most out of it, because you are going to be one-on-one, if you don't, with a doctor from Social Security who is paid by Social Security to look at your medical records and ideally shoot holes in the situation as to why you don't qualify. I mean, that's really their job. Let's face it, Social Security's in the business of denying claims. So those are the key components at the initial application. And how the course works is you get your segment of the course and you hang on to it. And then once your status changes, you just update us. Hopefully you've gone from the initial, and when you come down here and fill this out, you indicate that you've gone all the way down and you're approved. But if you haven't and you've gotten denied and you need to go on to the next section, then we can put you into, how to appeal your case. So use the course, update us, move on to the next. So that's the Disability Digest and how we help you. So I have just shared with you the initial application segment of it, and there's different segments for applied and waiting. Like if you're applied and waiting, you don't need step 1A because you've already applied and you've completed those. Or if you have been denied and you're at the reconsideration stage, it's likely you still need the information in step 2 because you didn't do it. You probably don't need step 3, but you need to know how to appeal your reconsideration appeal. So we teach you like how to look for flaws in your denial letter and then communicate those flaws in an organized letter back to Social Security for your appeal. So that's the general structure. All right. So I've just hit some of the, you know, pieces lightly on the applied and waiting and reconsideration, because we are going to cover the reconsideration appeal in another segment. But what I'd like to do now is I'm going to pivot. I'll take any questions that there are, but I'd also, if you see statements about from people like why they qualify for disability, 2 sentences or less, I'd like to address those first, right? So do we have any, gentlemen? Yes, no, maybe. Your microphone's muted, David.
Someone typed in 4, they got denied.
Okay. All right. Well, if you're a member here, sorry to hear that, contact us and we will get you in. It's not clear if you're denied and you have to file a reconsideration appeal or wait for hearing, but um, we'll get you into the right segment of information. All right. All right, gentlemen, let's keep it rolling. Let's start with questions if you don't have any why I can't work statements.
Mhm. Um,
I've got one here that just came in on the Facebook group. It says finally got approved today for benefits after a year. Congratulations. I'm doing better, and if I cancel it, is it hard to get it again? I guess they're talking about if they cancel their benefits.
Right, right. Well, there's a lot of variables in that situation. So it's really difficult uh, to do that. I mean, the criteria for proving disability is still the same. But a consideration for you if you are feeling better and there is, I think I can work statement in there, I would test working first and prove that you can work part-time at a, you know, 10, 12-hour a week level, or volunteer, or do something to engage your body to demonstrate that you can, and then ramp it up before you just go and cancel it, because it would be unfortunate if you're not able to get back on, because the decisions have been reversed.
You can always try the Ticket to Work program too.
Yep, and that would be the next step, so go gradual, prove that you can do something part-time, then you can migrate into full-time, test the waters. And if you're in the Ticket to Work program, you have a layer of protection there, so that if you want to cancel your benefits, you've demonstrated that you've worked. That would be a safer route. Good point, Philip.
Yeah. All right, anonymous member says, how do I know or view what records Social Security are reviewing? I'm worried they don't have everything. I have been a patient for 6 different VA facilities in different cities since 2011.
Yeah,
So I guess they're asking how do they
right,
view the documents that Social Security has on them?
right. Good question. So if you're managing your case on your own, then you would need to contact your caseworker and ask for a copy of your case file. You can ask them over the phone. But if I were you, because of how the VA handles their medical records, which is different than civilian doctors, I would get a copy of your case file and look at it. If you're using a disability representative, one of the benefits is that they can actually see into your case file, and they can search, like you can give them the doctor's name or address or facility, and they just rifle through and say, yep, there, or no, not.
And you can also go into your patient portal and uh, download your medical records from there, but that's not always uh, accurate either. There's a lot of missing. I know from my own personal experience, a lot of missing information in those portals.
Right. Well, so the challenge with that is I think this individual wants to see what records Social Security has on file. So your patient
Yeah,
portal is going to have, like, let's call that the baseline, right? You want to see from whatever your baseline is, what's in there.
yeah.
Um, good question.
Okay. Another anonymous. I was approved for SSDI, but they only went back 5 months from the date of approval. I have noticed my medical records from when I was first diagnosed with RP. I don't know what RP is. Were not included. These medical records backdate 2 years, which was when I first applied for disability. Is this how it works? I thought I would receive back pay to when I first applied up to my approval date.
Yeah, this is something I didn't cover in the initial application, which is really a key point is understanding your onset date and how to communicate the onset date in your initial application and why the onset date should hold. Like an exaggeration, not an exaggeration, but if somebody had a major event on like a stroke on a certain date and that stroke left them so that they had significant mobility and speech issues, then that date would be the onset date that they could not work. So if you're doing your initial application on your own, this is where um, there is a higher level of understanding the process and the medical records and the evaluation. You need to look for that trigger that's going to lock in your earlier benefits. And it could be an RFC. Maybe you had an RFC that stated at this time, this doctor said that I can't work, I'm going to miss 4 days a month of work. So now you're in a situation where you can appeal that, but I have seen some, I've seen most commonly, and this is not just here, but with others I network with that do this work. If you appeal a decision or an onset date, I've seen them totally cancel the award. And which you can fight it. I mean, you can go back to court and depending on your situation, you can win, but it's just better to get it right the first time. I know that's going to be difficult for you. So right now you have to really do the risk reward. How many months of back benefits, if it were worth rocking the boat. I mean, we had one of your members that you worked with is one of the very few people, Philip,
Yeah,
whose name escapes me, that pulled this off.
Mike,
Mike. Yeah. Shout out to Mike, wherever you
he
are.
was he was one of the first members I ever worked with that occurred with, and that was one of the other questions today. You've already answered it, so I won't ask it again or go
Mhm.
over it again about filing an appeal on onset date that was adjusted.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Last one here. Does anyone know the maximum we're allowed to earn without risking losing their benefits?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure do. Um, and there's a regulation that we commonly cover in these shows, but it's $1,150 a month this year. That's the maximum amount if you are approved for disability benefits. It's a different amount if you're applying for them. So it's advised that you stay ideally like 20% below that so you don't trigger anything. But if you're a member here at the Disability Digest, you can just contact our support desk or search this YouTube channel. And you'll find a video that will bring you to the actual regulation, which I encourage everybody to know the rules, keep the rules, because it's going to change soon. It's going to go up, and it goes up every year. I'm just expecting it to go up. But yeah, you can definitely work. Yeah. So one quick thing I want to give a shout out to everybody that's out there. Philip Price, if you're watching this from Facebook, runs arguably one of the largest, fastest growing Facebook groups on the planet Earth about Social Security disability benefits. And we partnered up and we're working together because his group does super work in supporting people, answering questions, and the Disability Digest, as I've shown in this event, provide like the how-tos, the courses, and what you need to say and do. So that's good to have Philip here. Hopefully the group finds value in this. All
All
right.
right, that's all the questions I have today. If Devin's got anything.
All right, David.
All
Okay.
right. So, uh, Rude Rabbit, we're still going to address your concern. He has his one of the first questions that popped up in our comment section. But before we address your concern, it's just a question from support email. It says, what if my doctor has no idea about disability? He is not interested or not implying that he will help me with my application. How do I deal with it? And he doesn't even know what an RFC is.
Yeah, this is a really good question. Is this Rude Rabbit or somebody else? By the way, I like that handle, Rude Rabbit. That's really
Somebody
cool.
else.
Somebody
Yeah.
else. All right. So the doctor situation, it's really an interesting one. A lot of people place, a lot of confidence in their doctors for their medical situation and their work situation, and um, I'm not going to discount that, but uh, for doctors, they work in the medical field and they don't understand the disability process. You might think they do, they might say they do, but as a general rule, they don't. They're actually more problems, cause more problems than they're actually, can be of benefit. Um, and this is just a general statement from my experience. So my coaching to individuals is to use your doctor relationship as a tool. And first of all, the only one that should know whether you can or cannot work is the man or the woman in the mirror. So if you look yourself in the mirror and you say, I just can't do this, right? And if you go to your doctor, I think the average doctor visit now it's like less than 12 minutes. I mean, how do you expect them to really know you and to make a judgment on what it's like to be you 24/7? It's just for me, it's not possible. So you can ask your doctor their opinion, but I wouldn't put your whole, decision in it. You can put it as a factor. So then the doctors that don't support you, there are doctors that won't fill out the RFCs, especially if you're in California. I mean, they've got like a large doctor network out there. They just don't do anything. So then you need to follow the directions that we provide you and use the tactics that I coach and teach and we do about how to manipulate your medical records. That's the term that I use, where you understand, like from your journal, what your limitations are, how to communicate that you're disabled in 2 sentences or less, and you bring your limitations into your doctor in each and every visit. Put them on a piece of paper like this, and you present them like a broken record. I can't sit for 15 minutes. I can't stand for 20 minutes. I can't sleep for more than 4 hours a night, and that's maybe 5 days a week. I wake up with brain fog. I can't remember repetitive tasks. When the garbage truck comes and they pick the can up and they put it back down, it triggers like I go nuts. I get really angry. Things like that you put into your medical records in each and every visit. That's the alternative. Then Social Security comes through and they look at your medical records, which is their job. And they say, oh, being treated. Can't sit, can't stand, can't sleep, right? That's the doctor's piece for you.
Well said, Brian. And a lot of folks out there really just need that advice because, I mean, they're quite dissatisfied with their doctors.
Yeah.
But now go to Rude Rabbit's question. I'm 53, federal disability, early retirement, working towards an SSDI package to be submitted within a year. Would a fixed life annuity with Life Rider income that doesn't start till 59 affect my SSDI application?
No. No, but I'm wondering why you're waiting a year. I mean, I don't, and there might be some outlying circumstances. And this, you know, uh, let me just put it to you this way. I don't know how long Rude Rabbit's been out of work, but let's say that you've been out of work for, in a year from now, you'd been out two years, right? So you're going to go through the disability application process. At the top of this, I showed you like it's probably 280 days if you go all the way to a hearing and you don't get approved. Well, if you apply at like the 6 month mark, you get 2 shots going through. But if you wait like deep into 2.5 years towards 3 years, you get 1 shot. And whatever your disability check is, if you don't get it by the time your date last insured, expires, you're out that money. So I'd really think about your strategy and waiting and ask yourself, like I just said earlier, can I work? If I can't work, why are you waiting?
Mm.
Listen, you can always cancel your application. You can always test working, but you can't get your credits back. You can't get those benefits back. If they're gone, the only way you can get them back is to return to work. And that's why you're applying in the first place. You can't work.
Mhm. Right. Uh, K
I'm going
Wolf out.
Just one moment. I'm going to open up the phone lines here in a few seconds and I'll put the number up so you folks can call in. So just a heads up. Sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
K Wolf wants to know what's the best way to handle a CE.
A CE. So I want to make sure we're,
Result of the examination.
yeah,
Yeah.
consulted. Yeah. All right. So that's also known as an independent medical exam. So the best way to do it in the disability approval course that I just showed you is use the 7 steps that are in there. And the one thing that I'll share with you is do not go alone. I'm going to repeat it. Do not go alone. It's a kiss of death. They love it when you show up alone. Yeah. Yeah. So that's number one. Here's the reason why you want to do that, because it's puts you in a situation where they can do whatever they want, and there's really no way for you to successfully argue it. So you go, you have an advocate. The advocate is there with you because you're sick, you are not able to focus, you're not able to work, you can't remember things. You want to make sure that everything's covered properly. And they ideally record it with a phone, and they do allow you to do this. If they say no, then record it by voice. If they say no, then your advocate takes out a piece of paper and pencil and they write down the time and what they did, and they make sure that they ask a few questions to keep the doc on his toes. Like, make sure you evaluate this, or make sure you evaluate, for Meniere's disease, or, oh, remember, I have degenerative disc disease. You haven't done anything to evaluate that. Those are some of the things you're going to learn in the seven steps.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm going to open up the phone lines while David's cooking up another question. I'll see if I can multitask. And I'll put the number up on the screen for you folks to call in. Call in. We can review your case. If you want to give me your explanation why you can't work, we can touch that up. And listen, if you're approved out there, you're going to need this too for your CDRs, like an explanation why you can't work. So, the number is 844 717 2454. All right. While we're waiting for the phone to ring, David, anything else going on?
Well, let's see. Well, Rude Rabbit just have a follow-up info here. He says can't get VA to diagnose long COVID through records, though my records support it. Stopped working Feb 2024, but medically recorded severe issues after COVID since Jan of 2022. What date for onset? He said.
I don't know. I'd have to look at the medical records, but I'd go as early as possible. They can always adjust it. But I would go to a neurologist and ask for an executive function test. Executive function test. That's what long COVID disrupts your ability to process cognitive ability. And then that can come back either mild, moderate, or severe. Let's say it's severe, then there's your evidence right there. And if you have that already in your VA records, then you can run with it. And there may be other things. So it may be you have other information in your case file that you don't know of or don't think that it's important. A lot of people are just sitting around waiting for the smoking gun. So just a reminder, it's 844-717-2454. So I'm going to take a call here.
Severe
Thanks
issues after
for
COVID.
calling. This is Brian Terrian. I can hear my voice in the background, but who am I speaking with?
Hi, good afternoon, Brian. This is Mirza Ghaffar.
Help me with your first name again. I didn't understand it.
It's Mirza, M-I-R-Z-A. I'm your member,
Okay.
new member.
M-I-R-Z, right?
Z, yeah, Z for Zulu.
All right. Mirza.
And
How can I help you?
yes, Brian. So I applied for SSDI. I think 4 months ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I have been out of work. I stopped working January of last year, 2023.
2023. Okay.
Yeah, a long work history, about 20 years work history before that. Good income for 10 years before I quit, almost 60 plus average before I quit. And I have a lot of medical problems. 53 years old, and I have had 5 car accidents that have caused permanent problems in my lower back and my neck, and they call power defects, degenerative discs, bilateral power defect, like both sides of the, bone has cracks, and neck radiculopathy. They did MRIs last month for my neck, and neck and back has been in pain for years. And also have I have like 8 or 10 different medical problems, but the main problems that I'm going to share with you are these back and neck. They're long-standing problems. Been dealing with them for years.
It's good.
And
I think I got it. I just wanted to see where we're at so far, right? So you stopped working January of 2023, long-standing career for 20 years. You were doing fine financially. You're 53. Now you've been in 5 significant car accidents. Were you driving? Are you do you race cars or you do something like that for a living? What's going on?
I just got, have had 3 rear ends, and then 2 car accidents. And one of them out of 5 was my fault. And this was 1994 when I first came to America. I got into both cars, and I, didn't know how to drive, so I crashed my car. But then after that, I had the last accident, a rear end I had was 2022.
Okay. So
and that just brought. Mm-hmm.
So is there a question that you have? I understand the premise of what's going on, but is there like a real question that is on your mind that we can address?
Yes. Yes. So I also have mental health problems. I have long-standing anxiety. I've been taking medication like Xanax for 10 plus years, prescription every night. I have restless leg syndrome. I have chronic insomnia, and I take 4 medications at night, every single night. They are very drowsy. Like drunk. They make you drunk. And I was terminated in December 2021 from working and coming late at work all the time and having disputes with my managers, changing my district, go to another district and get disputes with them. They finally terminated me because they could no longer accommodate me. They had given me accommodation for I was a mattress salesman, so they had given me accommodation for not lift heavy mattresses. I was able to lay in the store. Beds are there. Store is, that's the only job I did in the last 12 years. And that was a perk that you could lay in a bed for 4 or 5 hours. If nobody comes all day, you can lay all day, as long as you don't sleep. So my back and neck hurts, all these mental health problems. I've been taking medications. It still worked. The examiner that I spoke with, I spoke with him 3 times, and seems like he doesn't know what he's looking at. Because I asked him about grid rules. He said, "What are they?" I said, "You're 50-year plus old." He said, "Oh, no, you have to be 54 and half years old," but he doesn't know what they are. And and I got a letter from my former supervisor who no longer works with the mattress company. He gave me a letter that he gave me accommodations, and I had problem coming to work late, and I have a problem, depositing my deposits and completing the courses. He gave me a letter. He just didn't a date on it or didn't put a phone number on it for some reason. But I have a letter from him. I spoke with another supervisor that I have 3 jobs in 1 year. When they terminated me, I got a new job the next day. Week after that job, I got rear-ended in 2022, and then started physical therapy, and then epidural in 2020. I left that job. I couldn't walk. That was in a furniture store. Then I got back in another mattress store job, and then I tore my meniscus. I had knee surgery in 2020. I tore my meniscus again in 2022 at work. And I have bucket handle torn meniscus that keeps locking for the last 2 years. When it locks, I'm stuck. I can't walk, can't put weight on it. That requires another surgery.
I'm trying to, I have a comment about the grid rule thing, but I'm listening to your conditions, which are you're doing a great job of explaining them. But what's not clear to me is what is the question? Is there like a question that you would like to ask?
Yes. So I am very anxious at this point that I'm waiting for the answer. The only thing is that as you talking while I'm listening to your Zoom call, watching it, the doctors, they don't write things, in their records properly. So even though the records are there that I have this problem, I'm getting this medication, I got this epidural, I have 2 epidural coming next month for my lower back and neck. But I don't have doctors. My doctors don't even know. I didn't even tell them that. And then I'm just anxious that is this even enough evidence? Because what I hear from that people that they deny. And I don't know if I filled my application correctly, because I did not actually become a member until just maybe a month ago, maybe a month ago. I didn't know these things that you talk about. So it's just that I'm worried that I have good income that I have saved, a lot of money that I'm spending for last 19, 20 months, that not average person can do that. But it's just that I don't have a whole lot of left.
Right. Let me ask you a few questions now that I understand your concern. You want to know if you've got enough to get approved, right? That's the assessment. When you look at, do you follow your case in your online portal?
I was able to, like a month ago. I forget. See, I have a problem forgetting. I forget my password. So it was on a step 3 as of a month ago, and then after that I'm not able to log in.
Okay.
Because I have my ID, and then again sitting on a computer for a little bit longer looking at it, it just gives me dizziness.
Yeah.
So my wife does a lot of stuff for me. My wife is the one, actually, God bless her. She's working now for the first time for the last 1 year. She cooks everything. I sweep the floor, mop the floor, maybe wash the dishes, but not, every single day. I don't do that. So she's helping me with everything. I don't know how to log back in now. I'm gonna need her help, and she comes home, and then she's tired, and then I don't ask her. Right. I'm not really good with computers.
Right.
And it's just, last time I checked, like a month ago, or 3 weeks or a month ago, it said step 3.
Okay.
The examiner said that we're not gonna wait for your surgery. He said, I spoke with him last week. He said, if you're going to have surgery scheduled on December 1, then we're not going to wait for the decision, because what if you get sick and then surgery is postponed for another month, or the surgeon has a problem and he wants to reschedule, and then your case will never close.
Right.
So, and then he said, if you get surgery, you make it better. I said, well, I didn't tell him that, but I got surgery and I didn't get better.
Yeah.
I told him about this again, but I think he's new.
Right. Well, here's a few things for you to consider. First of all, your comment that I have up on the screen about the grid rules at the state level for initial and reconsideration, they're not aware of these. It would be nice if they are, but they're not. These, you know, I don't know how you learned about them, but these are used at the hearing level. There's a 5-step process for Social Security disability, and you know, the last step is like using something like this to prove that somebody. So not to say that they should know about it, they should at least know what the grid rules are. I mean, they work there, for God's sake. But so that's it. The other thing is, if you're at step 3, I mean, generally I can sense your like level of concern, and that you're running out of money. And I don't know what you've done with your application, but if this helps in any way, I would, if you're a member here, just make sure that you are using the disability approval course. Right now, it would be evidence-based, getting residual functional capacity reports filled out by your doctor. And then also, the other thing that I would recommend is learning like how to journal your thoughts. I think journaling, there's a lot of value in that outside of the disability application process, but bringing your limitations and getting those into the medical records, because whether you do or do not get approved now, I just encourage you to do what you can to get locked in for the long haul. It's clear to me that you can't work. And I'd tell you to stay out of cars too after 5 crashes like that. I mean, something's going on. But however, if there's something that I could wish for you, would just be do the best you can, and you know, just get in and you know, you're on a ride. So back to the communicating your limitations in each and every visit. Once you go through, if you get approved, great. If you don't, you're still going to need to do that. But if you do get approved, you know, at 53 years old, you're going to have reviews, and it's good to have medical evidence that's rock solid going all the way through. And listen, if you get stuck, you remember here, you can contact us, you know, and spend some more time individually. You know, somebody could talk to you more specifically about your case if they haven't already, and help you out. So that's my advice.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate your advice. Brian, the letter from the supervisor, the former supervisor, I have 2. The one that I left, working like 7-8 months, I spoke with him. He said he will sign the letter because he knew I was late. So it's just like jobs, you know, I mean, I don't want to give up in life. I mean, I came to America for opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to get better and start my business, God willing. It's just that I know that nobody's going to hire me. If they hire me, they're not going to keep me because I'm not reliable.
Yeah.
And the problem with my health issue is just not physical; it's also mental.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get angry very quick. My family is really to the neck with me, but they know I have problems. I get angry, I get ticked off, and this is what's happening at my work. And they kept writing me up. And I got so many write-ups that also added to my mental problem. Like I got so much trauma in my head that I just can't even explain.
Right.
And
are you
letters,
you have some counseling going on?
Yes. So I started. The examiner said that to me. You know, he said that I want to see the severity of your anxiety. I said, don't you see the anxiety on records? He said, no, I'm talking about from like a psychiatrist, and I have had psychiatrists in the past. In the past, I saw them and they gave me Xanax and cognitive behavior therapy, which didn't work. But then I was younger. This is like 2010 and 11. Now I'm much older, and my things are not getting, you know, easier. It's just always getting, you know, difficult.
Yeah.
So I got I'm talking to a clinical psychologist, therapy for last 1 month. That my sleep doctor been asking me to get the therapy as well as at the same time he's giving me those 4 medications for rest leg syndrome, insomnia and anxiety, and he doesn't believe that he's the best person to treat me for anxiety. I'm
As
doing
you
that. I have
as you may know, I got to be respectful for others' time, but I do want to share this before we part ways. I would keep looking and searching around in the counseling area, so that you can hopefully get some assistance in guiding you and finding your new purpose. I'm not a doctor. I'm just speaking to you as, as a guy out here that advocates, but I know enough to know from dealing with thousands of people that it's tough when you lose your purpose and you lose your work and you have your family and you're kind of concerned about your health and you've got the finance. You got a lot going on. So you need to find your new purpose. It's not going to be the same purpose, and maybe your purpose will lead you to being able to start your business someday, and maybe it won't. Maybe you just can't do that. But going in that direction is advice. Like I do it from my position. I am an able-bodied person, but I've talked to enough people to know that getting some external help for guidance in different areas of life is like it's the deal. I don't know what I would do without it. So I wish the same for you. I hope you find this helpful. And please keep in touch with us with your case. I hope you call us back or drop us a note or support desk says, hey, got approved. But if you don't, let us know. We'll help you with the next steps. All right.
So how do I connect with somebody? You said that somebody can speak with me and then in details.
So I would contact the support desk. Look at your email inbox and reply to any of the mail that you've been receiving. That's membership related, and just say I was on the live with Brian. I'd like to talk to an advocate. Yeah.
So do you think I should send these supervisor letters, the two of them, now at initial level to the examiner?
Yes.
So he can see that I was not reliable.
Yes, they would help. Generally, without looking at them, I mean, if they were written like this, if they just said, "Oh, you're a nice guy," and we used to go out for beers and all that stuff, that's not going to be helpful. But if they explain the special accommodations, then and how that impacted your work, then that would. So.
Yes,
all right.
it is there.
Gonna take the next call. This has been a pleasure. I hope you follow through on the checkpoints on this, and I wish you very well in your journey. All right. Appreciate you being a member and calling in.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Okay. All right. So do we have anything else that's come up in the meantime? The phone lines are open again. We can take perhaps one more caller before I've got to leave here for the day. It's 844-717-2454. If there's anybody else that has something to talk about. But in the meantime, the 283 of you that are out there on YouTube, I thank you so much for joining in the show today. I hope you found value in it. And this helps you get some perspective on your initial application. That was a really unfortunate health-wise situation, but I hope everybody learned something from that call in, as well as the other stuff that we have today. Philip, David, are we all good with everything there? Yeah?
Believe so.
Okay, perfect. All right. Good. Well, listen, we are going to wind down. Next week, we're going to continue on this journey. We're going to spend some time on the reconsideration piece to show you what you need to do for an appeal if you should ever need it. Like, unfortunately, if this gentleman needs it, he will know what to do. So we're going to cover that. And then, of course, take any questions that you might have. So again, here at the Disability Digest, we hope you find value in this. Our focus here is to be your trusted resource for disability benefit information. And really the best way, again, that we can help you, as I mentioned during the program, is if you come and join us or update us at the Disability Digest by clicking on that green button at the Disability Digest. And that will guide you through, fill out your membership profile, then we can get you into the right resources that are going to be of best value. And of course, if you want to watch all I think there's over 1,400 videos on our YouTube channel now, we're welcome to do that. Philip, David, Appreciate you guys being here. It would be really, really challenging for me to do this without you. So I am super grateful for your assistance, and all those out there listening. Pleasure to serve you. Welcome back, or welcome to you. Invite you to come back next week, 3:15. We will be here. All right. Make it a great day, everybody. Thanks
See
again.
y'all. Have a good one.
Have a great day, guys.